The stars above glowed peacefully, unaware of the horror unfolding below. The human colony of New Eden had always been a quiet place, a frontier world, far from the politics of the Galactic Council, where families built new lives, free from war. Children played under twin suns, dreaming of the future. Until the Exceltar Empire came. The attack began without warning. Dark, metallic warships pierced the sky, their shadows swallowing the sunlight. The colony's defense systems activated, but they were nothing against the Empire's advanced weaponry. Within minutes, communication towers were silenced, defense turrets burned to the ground, and the streets filled with screams. The Exceltar soldiers moved with cold efficiency, 8 feet tall, covered in black armor, insect-like mandibles twitching as they stalked through the city. Their weapons didn't just kill, they disintegrated. A single shot, and a human body vanished into ash. But this wasn't a war. This was a harvest. They didn't come to kill everyone. They came for the children. Mothers screamed as they were ripped from their homes. Fathers fought until their last breath, gunned down in the streets, their weapons useless against the Empire's armor. And still, the children were taken, hundreds of them, terrified, crying, begging for their parents. The Empire didn't care. They loaded them onto their ships, cold, metallic cages where the young ones trembled in fear. Then, as quickly as they arrived, they vanished into the sky, and the rest of the colony, left to burn. The survivors, the ones who had lost everything, were forced to watch as New Eden became nothing but smoke and ruin. A message from the Exceltar broadcasted across the stars. Humanity is weak. You do not belong in this galaxy. Accept your place, or be erased. The galaxy watched in silence. No one came to help. No one spoke against the Empire. The powerful nations of the stars looked away. They thought humanity would do the same. They thought Earth would break. They were wrong. Because the moment the broadcast reached Earth, humanity did not beg. It did not plead. It went silent. And somewhere, in the cold darkness of space, humanity whispered a promise. You took our children. Now we are coming for you. The galaxy had seen many wars, many acts of cruelty, but this was different. The Exceltar Empire had made a mistake, one so severe, so unforgivable, that even their own allies hesitated to defend them. But the Exceltar didn't care. They had won. The children were taken, their colony burned, and humanity had done nothing to stop them. Or so they thought. For days, Earth remained silent. No threats, no pleas, no diplomatic outrage. Then the disappearances began. At first, it was small. A Exceltar scout ship vanished while patrolling the outer colonies. No distress signal, no wreckage, just gone. Then a supply convoy failed to arrive at its destination. The escort ships were later found drifting through space, crews missing, weapons systems offline. The cargo was untouched. The Exceltar High Command dismissed it as malfunctions, pirate attacks, unfortunate accidents. Until it got worse. Entire battalions stopped responding. Outposts once filled with thousands of soldiers became ghost towns. Surveillance footage revealed nothing. 1 second, everything was normal. The next, the base was empty. The fear spread. Rumors whispered through the Empire. Unseen hunters, silent ghosts, retribution from the dark. But the Exceltar were a warrior species. They did not fear myths. So they issued a challenge. A Exceltar admiral, Korath Vel, sent a broadcast across the stars. His mandibles clicked with amusement as he spoke. We know you are watching, Earth. Whatever you are planning, it will fail. You are insects before a god. Come out of the shadows and face us. For the first time since the attack, humanity answered. A single message appeared on every Exceltar military network. Return them. Now, it was not a request. The Exceltar laughed. They ignored the message, believing humanity was too weak to strike back. That was their second mistake. Because the very next day, the first Xeltar homeworld fell silent. No warnings, no distress calls, just silence. Panic spread through the Xeltar Empire, one of their own homeworlds. Norvek, a fortress planet with billions of inhabitants, had gone dark overnight. No transmissions, no distress signals, no signs of battle. Just silence. High Command sent warships to investigate. When they arrived, they found nothing but ghosts. The once great cities of Norvek stood untouched, yet not a single Xeltar remained. Streets were empty, ships docked but unmanned, weapons still in place. There was no blood, no signs of struggle. It was as if the entire population had simply vanished. The Xeltar admirals were furious. They demanded answers, but there were none. No enemies had been detected. No battle had been fought. Only one thing was left behind. A message carved into the very surface of the planet, visible from orbit. You took our children. The galaxy watched in stunned horror. This wasn't a war. This was something else. The Xeltar had always been the hunters. They had ruled with fear for centuries. But now, they were the hunted. And the fear was setting in. Entire fleets were ordered to mobilize. Security was tripled across key planets, and spies were sent to track down who, or what, was responsible. They found nothing. Because humanity had already moved. On the edges of Xeltar space, supply lines began to collapse. Every night, bases and outposts went dark. Entire battalions stopped responding. Weapons refused to fire. Warships turned against their own fleets. It was as if the shadows themselves were swallowing the Empire whole. For the first time in history, the Xeltar knew fear. And deep within their high command, the Emperor himself finally realized what had happened. The humans were here, and they weren't going to stop. The Xeltar Empire had never known fear. For centuries, they ruled through terror, conquering worlds with brutal efficiency. To them, war was a game, a contest of strength where the weak were crushed and forgotten. But this was different. This was not a war. This was a reckoning. Fleet Commander Rav Torek sat in the war chamber, his claws tapping against the cold metal table. The Imperial High Command had gathered, their voices filled with confusion and rage. Reports came in one after another. Entire fleets lost, fortresses abandoned, communication networks failing. Even their capital world, Selvora, had not been spared. An underground research facility, one of the Empire's most heavily guarded installations, had gone silent. No alarms, no distress calls, just silence. When the security forces arrived, they found every scientist missing. The guards were still there, still alive, but their weapons were melted, their armor crushed as if by invisible hands. And in the center of the facility, one message was left behind. Where are our children? The room fell silent. For the first time in history, the mighty Xeltar Empire was being hunted. This is not possible, Admiral Corvellis snarled. His mandibles clicked in frustration. They are humans, weaklings. They do not have the strength to. Then how do you explain this? Rav Torek growled, slamming his fist against the table. They have taken our planets without a single battle. They have crushed our defenses without firing a shot. And now they are inside our most secure facilities, leaving us messages as if they owned this empire. The room filled with uneasy silence. The humans were inside. No warships had been detected. No armies had landed. Yet they moved through Xeltar space like shadows in the void. No warnings, no mercy, just vengeance. And then, the final transmission came. Across every Xeltar world, screens flickered. Every broadcast, every data stream, every holofeed was hijacked in an instant. A single human figure appeared, cloaked in darkness, face unseen, voice calm and steady. You took our children. Now we are coming for yours. The message cut off. For the first time, The Exceltar knew what it meant to be afraid. Panic spread like wildfire. The Exceltar Empire, once feared across the galaxy, was now paralyzed with terror. Entire fleets abandoned their posts. Planetary governors ordered evacuations, and civilians whispered of the unseen enemy that hunted them in the dark. But it was too late. Humanity was already here. On the industrial world of Gorthak Prime, alarms blared across the capital city. Soldiers rushed to their battle stations, warships took to the skies, and planetary shields powered up. Then, everything stopped. Power grids failed, weapons systems shut down, and communication lines fell silent. The mighty war machines of the Exceltar were useless. And then they came. From the shadows, human strike teams descended upon the city, silent, efficient, unstoppable. Drones swept through the streets, disabling defenses before the enemy even knew they were there. Stealth ships hovered above, jamming all escape routes. And when the Exceltar soldiers tried to fight, they simply disappeared. One by one, entire battalions vanished into the darkness. No screams, no bodies, just silence. Inside the Imperial Palace, Governor Tavrock watched in horror as his security forces were taken before his eyes. Black armored figures moved like shadows, their weapons making no sound, their faces hidden behind emotionless visors. And then, a voice filled the room. Cold, human, where are they? Tavrock trembled. Please. Whoa, we don't have them. The human stepped forward, unarmed, calm, more terrifying than any weapon. Where are they? The voice repeated. Tavrock fell to his knees. They were sent to the research stations, far beyond the core worlds. I don't know where exactly. I swear. For a moment, there was only silence. Then the human tilted his head. Liar. Tavrock's vision blurred. He felt something cold press against his skull. Then, darkness. The screen went black. Across the Empire, more planets fell. One by one, humanity took them all. And the Exceltar finally understood. They were no longer the hunters. They were the prey. The Exceltar Empire was crumbling. Their mighty fleets, once symbols of absolute power, were now fleeing. Their armies, once unstoppable, had become helpless ghosts. No matter where they ran, humanity was already there. But this was not war. This was punishment. On the Exceltar homeworld of Vorkan, the Imperial Council gathered in desperation. The great rulers of the Empire, warlords, strategists, admirals, stood in silence. Their forces were gone. Their defenses broken. Their leaders vanishing one by one. And now humanity had sent them a message. A single unmanned ship had entered Exceltar space. No weapons, no shields, just a hollow, silent vessel. The Empire intercepted it, terrified of what might be inside. When they opened it, they found only one thing: a recording. The Council hesitated, then played the message. The dark room appeared on the screen, filled with figures and shadows. Human voices spoke, calm, steady, and cold. You stole them. The image shifted, showing a Exceltar research facility. Rows of metal cages lined the walls, small, fragile figures trapped inside. Human children, malnourished, trembling, afraid. The council members froze. Then, a scream. A human child, no more than 6 years old, being dragged away. Clawed, Exceltar hands gripping her tiny arms as she cried out in fear. The council flinched as a scalpel was raised toward the child. The video cut to black. Silence. Then the human voice returned. We found them. The Exceltar High Chancellor, Vormek, felt his breath catch. Please. We can negotiate. The voice ignored him. You had your chance. You showed no mercy. The room grew cold. Now neither will we. The screen shut off. A moment later, the sky above Vorkan burned. Humanity had arrived, and there would be no survivors. The sky above Vorkan was on fire. Human warships, black as the void, descended like specters. Their weapons did not roar with fury. Instead, they whispered precise, calculated destruction. The great planetary defense stations of the XLTAR, once thought impregnable, crumbled without a fight. The Empire was finished. On the surface, panic consumed the XLTAR. Cities burned. Soldiers threw down their weapons. Families huddled together, whispering prayers to gods who would not answer. Because humanity had no gods, only justice. The Imperial Palace was the last to fall. High Chancellor Vormek stood at the balcony, trembling as he watched his empire collapse. His warriors had begged for mercy. None was given. He had ordered a retreat. There was nowhere left to run. Then he heard the footsteps. Slow, measured, unstoppable. He turned, mandibles clicking in fear. A single human stood at the entrance. Dressed in black armor, face hidden behind a smooth, emotionless helmet. No insignia, no rank, no name, just a presence. Vormek fell to his knees. Please, have mercy." The human didn't speak, didn't move. Instead, a small device was placed on the ground. A hologram flickered to life, showing the rescued children. Safe, alive, but changed. Their eyes held no innocence, only a quiet, unshaken fury. The message was clear. Humanity does not forget. The human finally spoke. One last sentence. Mercy is for those who show it. A single shot echoed through the palace. And with that, the Quetzaltar Empire ceased to exist. The galaxy watched in silence, terrified, awed, respectful, because they finally understood. Humanity was not to be crossed. Not now. Not ever. The war was over, but it hadn't been a war, not in the way the galaxy understood. There were no grand battles, no long sieges, no treaties signed in desperation. There was only judgment. Vorkan, the heart of the Quetzaltar Empire, was now silent. The once mighty capital lay in ruins, its towering spires reduced to rubble, its streets littered with the remnants of a species that had thought itself untouchable. Across the galaxy, leaders and warlords, tyrants, and kings watched with quiet horror. They had witnessed the fall of an empire that had ruled for centuries. Not through war, not through diplomacy, but through fear. Humanity had made its message clear. Touch their young, and you will not face soldiers. You will face the abyss. The Quetzaltar were gone, wiped from existence like a stain on the pages of history. No one mourned them. No one defended them. Even their former allies turned away, pretending they had never existed. And in the silence that followed, whispers spread. Not of conquest, not of victory, but of a single chilling truth. Humanity is patient. Humanity is kind. But when provoked, humanity is the last thing you will ever see.